awkward. But if you look on top of that, look at the bus that's right here. That bus has been covered with people who decide to jump on top of the bus and show their disagreement with Donald Trump. On top of that, this crowd here is huge. I would tell you the crowd is more than a few thousand people, more than a half a mile long. And, you know, you keep seeing the crowd grow and grow. At one point, they were able to block parts of Lakeshore Drive. They've been loud, they've been consistent, and they've been showing you this pleasure. This actually started around 5 o'clock, and I can tell you it seems like every half hour this continues to grow. More and more young people are growing into the crowd. And one thing about it is it's a very diverse crowd. You have people from Mexican people, black people, white people. They're all together in this, in terms of what they're doing in terms of protesting. Now they're doing the coordinated chant saying that they're against Trump and they want a different president. Obviously, someone's already been voted in, so people are saying they want to change things, and you can hear them talking about this at this point. But Don, I don't even know if you can hear me because it's so loud out here. At this point right now.
We can barely hear you, but we can make out what you're saying. You're a little bit low there. Ryan, I want you to stand by. You can see Ryan Young is in Chicago. There's also a protest on the other side of your screen from Portland, Oregon. And if you're just tuning in, we're following protests around the country in the wake of the election of Donald Trump, the new president-elect. I want to get to Los Angeles now. That's where we find our Paul Berkamen. Paul, what's happening there?
John, I'm just off camera. We have about 200, 300. This is growing, maybe 400 people here on the steps of City Hall. This is an extremely young crowd. Many of them were high schoolers who started earlier in the day. And one of the things that we're hearing throughout this part of California is people in this crowd telling us that they now fear that Donald Trump is going to launch into motion a series of events that causes them to have loved ones or relatives deported. I'm now going to talk to Avion, who's one of those people. Your fears right now about friends or relatives?
Yes, I am.
Tell us what you're worried about.
I'm worried that our racist president is going to deport my family back to their homeland. It's not right. We have the right to be here. No one should ever be back to deported or where they come from. Donald Trump needs to leave the White House. He needs to be impeached.
And can you tell us, I know you're probably fearful of being very specific, but which relatives are you talking about? Who are you worried about? And are you a citizen?
I am a citizen of the U.S., but my family is not. My family lives in Alabama, but they might be deported either back to Japan or back to Guam. So I'm a little worried about them right now.
All right, John, that's just one of the sentiments here. And then also what we've been hearing throughout the night is people who are telling us that they feel California is its own nation state, very different from the rest of the country. And if you look at this sign right here, it echoes what you saw at Brexit. It says, Cal exit, because we have different values, but we share love for freedom. And you heard someone yell secession now. You're Cat. What is going through your mind right now? And how serious are you taking this notion?
All right, what's going through my mind right now is just like a lot of emotion. I think today was a very emotional day for everybody in California. Emotions are running high. I heard this word thrown around quite a bit. And I think part of the thing is, you know, we want to be peaceful. We understand some people feel this way. Other people feel this way. There's not necessarily right or wrong, but we can, like, coexist, but we need to, like, maybe it's like an amicable breakup. We need to stop being codependent and start being independent. For sure. We've been codependently supporting the rest of the country for too long. It's like having some broke-ass friend for dinner who just gives you shit about your lifestyle choices. The thing is, like, our values. It's our core value system. I'm from the Midwest, and I moved here because I wanted to be around open-minded people. I wanted to be around this diversity, and this diversity is what I love about living in LA. And when somebody attacks the diversity of my community, I take that as a personal attack. And that's not okay. And as a California native, I grew up in the 70s. I grew up around this idea that we could take care of the earth. And if the Californian environmental values aren't spread out to the rest of the country, the whole planet is screwed. It's about a global issue. It's about respect. It's a global issue. Global issue. Respecting our neighbors.
You were saying this is a global issue.
It is a global issue because we need to take initiative in order to take care of everybody. It starts with humans. We have to take care of the planet. We have to take care of water. We have to take care of children. We have to take care of the future. Without these implementations in our system, we're extremely doomed. And that is negative for the effect of our society and the children. I do this because I care for the future. I am concerned about what will happen in 20 years from now. Already there's indications in China and in India that pollution is killing people, children and elderly especially. And I'm extremely passionate of what I do, and I will never stop.
We really appreciate your guys' comments. I'm going to send it back to you now, Dawn. You got a flavor for it. You can see over here, as we said, these are literally the steps of City Hall, and we now have about 200 to 300 to 400 people here, very peaceful, and the Los Angeles Police Department taking a very standoffish approach in that they're off in the distance. We're not seeing any confrontation. And by the way, just in the last couple moments, we've seen some more signs, yellow signs, that say Wall Street is the enemy, not Muslims or immigrants. Don, I can't hear you so well, so I'll toss it back to you, and I hope I can hear you.
All right, Paul. I know it's very loud there. Paul Verkaman is in Los Angeles for us. Los Angeles, Oakland, California. Protests growing all across the country this evening, although the one in New York may be dissipating just a little bit. Also in Chicago this evening, there is a protest, and there is a big one happening. The one that started it all was the one in New York City right at Trump Tower. And again, let's go back to Jason Carroll, who's there. Jason, as we look at these other protests on our screen right now in Oakland and in Portland and Los Angeles, has Trump said anything about the protests?
Well, we haven't heard Donald Trump say anything about the protests as of yet. But, look, tomorrow's another day. But what we have heard from the president-elect, Don, and is that what he wants to do is represent people of all races. He says of all different backgrounds and ethnicities. What he wants to do is try and unite this country. One of the folks I want to bring in very quickly that he's already brought into the fold voted for Donald Trump. He came out to the protest to see what was going on. You are Latino. You voted for Donald Trump. What do you think of what's happening behind you here?
I'm kind of confused. I feel that is very disrespectful. And what these people are doing is just outrageous. At the same time, I was just saying that to my friend that a lot of them are young, and in my opinion, don't really know what they're doing. They're just doing it out of anger. They have no strategy to what they're doing.
But when talking to some of the protesters out here, they're venting and voicing their thoughts because they feel as though their voices were not heard.
Well, I mean, if obviously the voice of America was heard, people voted, and he won. So you had a chance to vote. She lost. Get over it.
Your thought, time to move on. And you've heard what the president-elect said. He said he wants to represent people of all races, all ethnicities. Obviously, this is something that resonated with you even before this.
Absolutely. Way before this even happened. I remember being denounced by many people who were close to me, like family members. They were like, oh, no, you don't know what you're doing. A lot of them Hispanic because I'm Hispanic. And then it came to a point where I was just like, okay, this is what I believe. I believe what this man is saying. So with that being said, I stuck to my commitment and I actually voted for him, and as well as donated. So.
All right, thanks very much. Thanks for coming out. So Don, just want to present a different point of view, different perspective. Again, I want you to take a look at the line of police officers that are still here on Fifth Avenue. I'm sorry, you're saying what?
Trump represents racism in this country, and we will not stand for it.
Just wanted to get your voice in there because I know you jumped in. All right, so once again, Don, you can see the line of police officers who are here on Fifth Avenue right in front of Trump Tower. Trump, for his part, is not here at Trump Tower. He left some time ago. He was here earlier today meeting with his top advisors. I'm sure you've already heard some of the names that are already being floated out in terms of working toward his transition team. Some names, familiar names that are being floated, like Newt Gingrich, Chris Christie, Rudy Giuliani, former New York City mayors. Just some of the names that are being floated out now as Donald Trump moves ahead with his transition team tomorrow. He'll be meeting with the president, also be meeting with House Speaker Paul Ryan, someone he was at odds with throughout the campaign, but someone he will be meeting with tomorrow. Don.
All right, Jason, I want you to stand by. We may need to get back to you. I want to go back to Chicago, though, now, and Ryan Young. Ryan, what's going on there?
We have a few thousand people, and they obviously are screaming some very colorful words about Donald Trump. This has been going on since about 5 o'clock, and we're told they've walked several miles. They even blocked Lakeshore Drive at one point. They are signs like this one that you can see here. Please tell me what your sign says, first of all.
My sign says, I can't believe I still have to protest for civil rights.
What brought you guys out here to protest against Donald Trump?
I think a lot of us are just in utter shock and disbelief. Obviously, the forecast did not predict this outcome, and a lot of us don't really know what else to do. So we're just here doing what we can do.
Do me a favor, describe the crowd in terms terms of the mixture and how people have been so far?
Well, I mean, obviously we see a lot of people of color and people with different backgrounds, which is very, very nice to see. Coming from Nebraska, I don't see that very often. And everybody has been very peaceful so far, so it's been very nice out here.
Gotcha. You guys are obviously, you told me you're college students. What has it been like watching this over the last 24 hours or so? How it just unraveled?
It's been really frustrating because as a nation we thought we have come so far, but it seems like we're taking many steps back. So we want to come all together to change that and make sure we keep going forward.
Someone might say, hey, the vote's over. He's president, so why not move on? What would you guys say to that?
It's never over. It's never over. We can still fight. Our ancestors fought for so long. They fought so hard. It is not our time to give up right now. It is not.
Perfect. Thank you. John, one of the things I want to show you, thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies. One of the things I want to show you, you see that bus up there? That's where a lot of protesters decided to jump on top of the bus and start showing their displeasure with what's going on. And you see, we're right outside the fact of the Trump Tower. So this has been going on for several hours. We've seen the police, the only time they seem to get involved is when they decide to block Lakeshore Drive. That's obviously a major street here in Chicago. And once they block that, that's when the police stepped in. Outside of that, everything's been peaceful so far.
All right, Ryan Young, thank you very much. Again, you're looking at protests happening all around the country in several major cities, in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in Portland, in New York City, and on and on. The one in New York, of course, right in front of Trump Tower. The one in Chicago in front of the Trump Tower and hotel there, right on the river. And again, we'll continue to follow that and bring the latest on this breaking news to you right here on CNN. In the meantime, now let's bring in my panel, CNN's Dana Bash and Mark Preston, also Chief Political Analyst Gloria Borger, and Senior Political Analyst David Gergen, and Princeton University Professor Sam Wong, the co-host of the Politics and Polls podcast. Good evening to all of you. I've got to start by asking you about these protests that are happening right now. Did any of you expect this? Did you expect this, David Gergen?
No, we had an unprecedented election yesterday, and now we've got an unprecedented protest. I think that what's very striking is that in both cases, we had a massive protest vote yesterday that brought the office of the presidency to Donald Trump, and now we're having the counter-protest. This is a very divided country. It's clear
with a built-in camera for
Trump is
video
not going to have
sharing,
much of a
over
honeymoon.
45,000 videos on demand, and over 1,000 live TV
I
channels.
think if we're going to
We offer sports, your
reknit the
favorite TV
fabric of this
series,
country, it's
and
going
over
to take
100
an
of the most
enormous amount
popular
of effort
Android apps.
on his part, as
Social
well as
media